Well, good afternoon, and it's great to be here in Woodbridge once again. I just love coming up to Vaughan, and the people here are absolutely wonderful. I want to recognize some real all-stars in the room, Joe Maloney, Ron Johnson, and their wonderful teams at Helmets to Hardhats and the Interior Finishing Systems Training Center. I want to thank all the folks from the different building trades unions, including the carpenters, painters, masons, who support this great program. My friends, this government, we stand behind the building trades. We will always support the hardworking men and women who work in the building trades. And our team, we're here today with Minister Phillips, Minister McNaughton, Minister Lecce, and Minister Tibollo. We're here today because we all believe our veterans and the men and women who currently serve our country. They deserve our absolute respect. They deserve our gratitude, and they deserve our unwavering support. It's why we wear a poppy and we wear it proudly. It's why we take a moment every year at this time to stop, remember, and honor their sacrifice. And it's why we need to go that extra mile to look after those who looked after our country, defending our core freedoms and our way of life. Not just on Remembrance Day, but all year round. Every year, more than 5,000 Canadian soldiers leave active service, and many of them struggle with the transition back to civilian life. Even just getting a job, something that many of us take for granted, it can be challenging for our veterans. And after their many years of service, we know our veterans deserve better. That's why I'm proud to announce today our government is investing over $500,000 to support the Helmets to Hardhats program. This is a program that helps our veterans transition to civilian life and find new careers. To date, this organization has helped over 1,000 veterans find a second career in the construction industry. 40% of those placements were right here in Ontario. It's incredible what they've been able to do, and we want to keep investing in these kind of results. The program evaluates the skills our veterans already have, provides them with on-job training, provides them access to the job bank, and matches veterans with good-paying jobs in the construction sector. And we know construction in Ontario hasn't stopped. In fact, tradespeople and construction workers are in high demand. We need more painters, carpenters, bricklayers, electricians, and construction workers. We need to start training them now so they can get to work and begin contributing to our economic recovery. The skilled trades offer a job for life, good jobs that can support a family and a home. And after years of defending this province and this country, our veterans deserve an opportunity to start their new lives in the right way. Our veterans deserve a chance to access a good-paying career in the skilled trades, and we will need them and all of our skilled trade workers as we continue rebuilding this province. It's why our government in 2020 Ontario budget introduced the Ontario Skilled Trade Strategy. I'll ask Minister Phillips and Minister McNaughton provide more details in a moment, but we're investing millions of dollars to attract more young people to skilled trades, make it more affordable to enter the trades, and encourage more employers to do their part. This strategy will also support those who have been displaced in this pandemic. It will provide them with opportunities for training and retraining. For those who are struggling, we have your backs. I know this has been one of the most difficult periods in Ontario's history, but together we will build a stronger, more prosperous future for our province. Thank you, and God bless our veterans, and God bless the people of Ontario. Now I'll pass it over to Minister Phillips.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Premier. It's great to be here in Woodbridge with my colleagues, Premier Ford, Minister McNaughton, Minister Tibollo, and Minister Lecce. And thanks to Joe Maloney and Helmets and Hardhats for being here as well. On Thursday, I introduced Ontario's 2020 budget and the next phase of our government's response to COVID-19, Ontario's action plan, Protect, Support, and Recover. Our plan has 3 pillars. First, we are protecting people from this deadly virus by increasing our health investments to $15.2 billion. Second, we are building on our earlier relief to provide a total of $13.5 billion in direct support for families, workers, and employers, in addition to $11.3 billion in cash flow support. And third, we're removing barriers to recovery and providing $4.8 billion to protect and create jobs now and in the future. This next phase of Ontario's action plan brings our total COVID-19 response to $45 billion. Recovery is the third pillar of our plan, and today's announcement of more than $500,000 to Helmets to Hardhats is just one example of how we are removing barriers to recovery. From Vimy Ridge to Kandahar, our veterans serve to make Canada the best country in the world, and our government is supporting our Canadian heroes returning to civilian life by helping them find good-paying jobs. Now is the time to invest in retraining our workers, especially those most affected by COVID-19, including those in the hospitality and tourism sector. By connecting workers with training they need to find new jobs, we can also ensure the industries that are still facing skilled trade shortages can find the skilled workers they need to grow and start building the foundation for Ontario's long-term economic recovery. That is why our government is investing an additional $180.5 million over 3 years in micro-credentials, employment services, and training programs, including apprenticeships. Through our skilled trade strategy, we will modernize Ontario's skilled trades and apprenticeship system. Taken together, these initiatives will help job seekers, particularly those hardest hit by COVID-19, get the skills they need. This training supports workers and employers alike. It also addresses long-standing gaps in skilled trades, which unaddressed would be a barrier to a strong economic recovery. As we all deal with the day-to-day impacts of COVID-19, it may seem ambitious to talk about recovery. But someday, hopefully soon, COVID-19 will fade. We need to start the work of recovery now. Failing to act today will cost the people of Ontario tomorrow. So we are not waiting to act. We are protecting and helping create jobs now and in the future. And with that, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Minister McNaughton.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Minister Phillips, for the kind introduction. First, I'd like to say special thanks to our Canadian Armed Forces veterans for being here today. I also want to thank Ron Johnson of Interior Finishing Systems Training Centre for hosting us, and Joe Maloney of Helmets to Hardhats for joining us today. I've known Joe for many years. He's a retired Boilermaker who rolled up his sleeves building and maintaining nuclear reactors across Ontario and helping build Sarnia's Chemical Valley. I remember seeing Joe at the Good Shepherd Ministries earlier this year. It is a memory that will always stand out. He was on the ground floor helping people in need. Good Shepherd Ministries goes out and finds dozens of veterans living on the streets. They provide them with housing, aftercare support, food, clothing, medical care, addiction support, mental health services, and crisis intervention. He's a true friend to our former military personnel, and clearly we can and must do better to support them. Veterans deserve jobs that are well-paying and put a roof over the heads of their families. It not only shows we care, it also makes good economic sense. Our veterans have great skills and experience that can be transferred to careers in the skilled trades. That's why the commitment, determination, and compassion by those at Helmets to Hardhats is truly inspiring. What you do is extremely important and deserves our support. That's why I'm thrilled to announce a $511,000 investment to help 180 veterans transition to civilian life and find good jobs, jobs that provide benefits and have a pension in the construction industry. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the partner organizations, the Canadian Building Trades Unions, the Ontario Construction Association, the Electrical Power Systems Construction Association of Ontario, the Construction Labour Relations Association of Ontario, Veterans Emergency Transition Services Canada, the Ontario Legion, and as I mentioned, Good Shepherd Ministries. This is a true team effort. We are proud to partner with you. As we all know, jobs change lives. They strengthen our families and communities and lift people up. Our veterans have always been there for us, and honoring them is important, but it's not enough. It's also our duty to support and help them succeed. Thank you. It's now my pleasure to invite to the podium the National Executive Director of Helmets to Hardhats and my friend, Joe Maloney.
Thank you, Minister McNaughton, for that kind introduction. And thank you to the Premier for being here today. Veterans deserve good jobs when they transition back into civilian life. They have talents that their communities need, and they are ready to serve in new ways. Since Helmets to Hardhats started in 2012, we have placed well over 1,000 veterans into construction industry opportunities, primarily through apprenticeship programs. Thanks to the participation of all 14 building trades and their employer counterparts, veterans have 61 occupations to choose from. We are a national organization, but with the support of the Ontario government, over 40% of our placements have been and continue to be in Ontario. Today's announcement allows us to offer support for jobs and opportunities outside the apprenticeship system, such as planners, schedulers, and estimators. It also allows us the opportunity to reach out to homeless veterans by partnering with Good Shepherd Ministries, and to date we have placed 2 formerly homeless veterans with more to follow. We would have done more, but COVID slowed us down quite a bit. On behalf of Helmets to Hardhats Canada, I would like to thank the Ontario government for this generous assistance, as it is truly making a difference for a lot of well-deserving men and women who have served our country. Thank you. I'd like to now invite to the podium the Member of Provincial Parliament for Vaughan Woodbridge, Minister Michael Tibollo. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Joe. I'd like to begin by thanking Premier Ford, Ministers McNaughton, Lecce, and Phillips for being here in the beautiful riding of Vaughan Woodbridge. And to the team at Interior Finishing Systems Training Centre, thank you for hosting us here at your facility this afternoon. Every year, you do an incredible job preparing hundreds of Ontarians for long, rewarding careers in the skilled trades, and I thank you for that. Today's announcement means so much to me, not only as MPP for Vaughan Woodbridge, but also in my role as the province's first Associate Minister of Mental Health and Addictions. We know all too well the many mental health and addiction challenges faced by our military veterans and reservists upon the return home from active duty and military life. Transitioning from active duty to civilian life is often one of the biggest challenges faced by veterans in our country and our province. Adjusting to new lifestyles and routines, reconnecting with loved ones, and finding stable long-term employment are just some of the many challenges faced by our veterans and reservists upon the return home, especially during these most unprecedented times. This incredible partnership between Helmets to Hardhats and Good Shepherd Ministries will ensure that our veterans are able to not only apply their skills to a rewarding career in the skilled trades, but also assist our homeless veterans in the GTA with medical care, including mental health and addictions care, as well as crisis intervention services. Thank you to everyone involved for your hard work and dedication to making all this possible. I could not be prouder to join you here in Vaughan Woodbridge to announce this great news and honor our veterans. Thank you.
We'll go to the phone line for questions. First question, please.
From Mike Crawley at CBC News.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Premier. Given what's happened with the COVID numbers over the course of the weekend, shattering records, are you questioning in any way the strategy that you're taking with trying to contain the numbers? Because they've pretty much done nothing but go up since the beginning of September.
Yeah, well, Mike, as you know, this is worldwide. You see the numbers going up around the world. I'd think differently if it was just Ontario, but I'm happy you asked that question because per 100,000 number of cases, we're the lowest in North America in any jurisdiction. So as much as we're seeing the numbers go up, we still have the lowest numbers for any large jurisdiction. We have to keep an eye on it constantly, and you know, we looked at early intervention. We put this framework together to focus on early intervention. I respect what the local medical officer of health, Repeal, is doing, but that's why we put it together, to allow the local medical officers to have that flexibility to increase or decrease in that fact. But that's the reason we have the framework, and I just still encourage everyone to continue following the protocols. And we'll get through this. The more we follow the protocols, the quicker we'll get through this.
Follow-up?
Premier, how do you respond to the criticism I've heard from a number of folks out there in the epidemiology field that you frame this as trying to find a balance between the economy and public health? And what they're saying is that unless you get the numbers under control, you're going to end up having to put really tough restrictions on the economy, and we're going to end up back in another lockdown. So how do you respond to that criticism that you're creating a false dichotomy?
Well, again, I respect all the doctors. I respect the epidemiologists. Keep in mind, we have a whole bunch of epidemiologists giving us advice. I got a whole raft of doctors, probably well over 100 that work on the health team indirectly. As I mentioned last time, Dr. Brown told me he had 70 doctors underneath him giving him advice. So I'm just not going to get into one doctor versus the other. We have some of the best docs in the entire country working with us, and I'm going to listen to the docs that I talk to in our health table. And I respect the fact that other epidemiologists may have a differing opinion, and I think it's healthy to have differing opinions. But I have to listen to the docs that are around our health table, which are the best in the country.
Next question.
From Laura Stone at the Globe and Mail.
Hi, Premier.
Hi.
I just wanted to follow up on that. We saw what happened with Peel Region over the weekend, imposing much stricter restrictions than your government put on that region on Friday. You didn't keep Peel in modified stage 2 as they requested. I'm wondering why you chose not to do that, and what is your message to other regions? We're waiting to see what's happening with Toronto this weekend. If they don't feel like what the province is doing is strong enough, what's your message to them? Are they supposed to go at it alone and impose their own restrictions?
Well, not at all, Laura. We put this framework together, and I think it's a very good framework. And we did have them in the red zone, but that's what's good about this framework. They have the flexibility to add additional protocols or guidelines if they wish to. And Dr. Lowe came out and he added those additional guidelines. So I support what he has done, and we're going to move forward with the guidelines that he's recommending. I've always said, Laura, from the beginning, no one understands their area better than the local medical officer of health, the local mayor, the MPPs, the MPs, the councillors. They're the people that understand their community better than anyone. But we do need a provincial framework for early intervention, and that's the framework.
Follow-up?
So as Toronto looks towards this weekend, and they're in modified stage 2 now, what are your discussions with that city, and what should they do if they feel like whatever level they're put in is not strong enough? What should they be doing?
Well, we're in close collaboration with Dr. Davila. Our health table is, and I know Dr. Williams is. I'm in close communications with Mayor Tory, and we're going to communicate and make sure that we're all on the same page. At the end of the day, again, Dr. Davila has the authority and the power to change things if she's not comfortable and in the red zone, as we call it, and we'll respect her decision. She is the local medical officer of health, and I respect all 34 medical officers of health. But at the end of the day, they don't report into me. I listen to the Chief Medical Officer of Ontario and our health team and our Minister of Health.
Next question.
Haley Cooper, News Talk 1010.
Hi,
Thank
how
you
you
very
doing?
much. Hi, Premier.
Hi, Haley.
You're getting a lot of questions about the numbers that we saw over the weekend
Sure.
and restrictions, but these case numbers that are coming out should people expect that this is the new normal for now? And are you afraid of returning to a lockdown like we saw in the spring, because it would bankrupt countless businesses? So the only option left is to strike this balance and allow people to move around even with these numbers we are seeing every day?
Well, I think you nailed it when you said a happy balance. You know, what people don't see is, you know, my phone lights up like a Christmas tree from some health professionals, be it OHA or other ones, telling me one thing, and then I have our health team telling me another, and then I'm bombarded with small business owners, which my heart breaks for, saying keep it open. And, you know, they're coming at you from all ways. And when I say it's constant, Haley, it is constant. And I always go out, I never make a decision ever throughout this whole pandemic with the advice, without the advice of our health team, my Minister of Health, our Cabinet, our caucus, and the stakeholders within the industry. So we just, I think it'd be worse disaster if we just shut everything down. I've always said, I'm no medical expert, but I'll tell you one thing, you lose your business, you lose your house. Where do you measure mental health? Where do you, I know my minister would be able to tell you about mental health, and how do you measure the increase in addictions? How do you increase the depression? Matter of fact, I'm going to hand it over to my Minister of Mental Health, and he can say what he's been seeing out there throughout this.
Thank you, Premier. As you can imagine, in a situation where you start to break routines and you don't have individuals being able to go out and follow the normal things that they do every day, it really does impact on their mental health. And we've seen statistically an increase in suicides, we've seen an increase in relapse, we've seen an increase in addictions. So our effort as a government has been to try to put in the protocols that would assist people in a lockdown situation. But even with the investments that we've made in internet-based cognitive behavioral therapy, in supports, people still need other people. So it's extremely important that we strike, as the Premier said, a balance that allows people to maintain as much as possible a routine, and provide them with the supports they need, face-to-face, internet-based. So we're working to ensure with our investments as a government that that plan is put in place and that we're helping as many people as possible with mental health and addiction supports.
Follow-up?
Thank you. And my follow-up is not COVID related, and I recognize that it's not top priority right now, but for many families it is, especially a family in Vaughan, and it's regarding the Pitbull Ban. Now, the reason I'm asking about this is because that family in Vaughan, they had a 4-year-old dog which they claim is a Labrador Retriever American Bulldog mix. And that dog got out this past summer, and Vaughan Animal Services found the dog, picked it up, held it for 100 days just because it resembled a pit bull. And now the dog is being rehomed out of province because Animal Services says that a DNA test has confirmed the dog is a banned breed. Your government was looking to repeal the Pitbull ban, so are you still on track looking to do that, and how quickly can we expect that repeal to happen?
Well, you know, I first have to tell you, I'm an animal lover. I love dogs. You're probably talking to the wrong guy here, but I always side with the dog owners. But if it's not full-fledged American Terrier or American Pit Bull, it's half and half, you were saying, crossbreed. Well, I'd have to look into that to get that answer. But, you know, I'll tell you, animals become part of your family. And you can have an animal, be it a dog or a cat or other animals, and they become part of your family. Do you have a second? I'm going to tell you a story. I'll make this real quick. I had a call. It was the night of the election, actually, the U.S. election. It was about 5:45. And I get a call from a constituent, absolutely in tears, crying her eyes out, saying that, you know, my dog is dying, but there's no animal hospital that will euthanize the dog and me stand beside it. I hopped in my car, I drove up to the Etobicoke Animal Clinic at 5:45, went around the corner, someone walked out, And they looked at me like, what's the Premier doing here? And I said, you got to help me. You got to help me get these, help these people. And I got to give a shout out to the Etobicoke Veterinarian Clinic off Kipling. You guys are champions. This is about going above and beyond. And I contacted the woman back and said, yes, they're going to wait for you. And then they were able to euthanize her dog. And I'll do anything for animal lovers and animals. And that's just one quick story of how everyone's pitching in, veterinarians. And thank you, all the veterinarians out there. You're doing a great job because animals are part of the family. And it's heartbreaking when you lose one of your pets.
Last question.
From Robert Benzie at Toronto Star.
Hi,
Hi,
Robert.
Premier. I wanted to ask you about the U.S. election,
Sure.
not about the dog, but about you were quite outspoken about Donald Trump when he was president. I guess he's still technically president until January 20th. And you know, the PPE embargo and the problems on aluminum tariffs and so on. I'm just wondering, I know you've tweeted about the campaign and the result on Sunday, I guess you tweeted. Can you expand on your thoughts on that election result? Is it going to be good for Canada to have Joe Biden as the president?
Well, you know something, first of all, I want to congratulate President-elect Biden, and I look forward to working with anyone who has the best interests of Canadians and Ontarians at heart. I think I proved to every Canadian, the world, that if someone comes after our country, someone comes after our province, I'm going to go at them like a lion. I don't care if they're Republican, Democrat, I don't care about their political stripe. And what I want is a mutually rewarding relationship between ourselves and the U.S. Spent a number of years down there. Full disclosure, I love the people in the U.S. We're very fortunate to have a great country beside us. And I just want the people of Canada and Ontario to get the same respect from American leadership that we give. And let's not forget, you know, when they needed help in 9/11, we sent our men and women over to Afghanistan. When they needed to land planes at 9/11 in Gander, Newfoundland, we opened our arms up. We fought shoulder to shoulder with them in more wars than probably any country. And when they needed our help, we're always there. So it was a real slap in the face when President Trump cut us off the PPEs. And again, I don't care if you're Republican, if you're Democrat. We expect a good relationship and really focus on the economics. We are the United States. Ontario alone is the United States' third largest trading partner in the world. And we need to be treated like the third largest trading partner in the world. I don't expect any tariffs, any aluminum tariffs and anything else. Let's work together, and it's going to be beneficial for both sides of the border. Canadians buy more goods. We're their #1 customer. We buy more goods than the UK, Japan, and China combined off the United States. We're an economic powerhouse. So folks sitting at home, let's never take a backseat to anyone, including the United States, as much as I love them. We're #1. We're an economic powerhouse. There's nothing we can't produce here in Ontario. Nothing at all. We have the brightest and best people anywhere in the world. And just get ready, because once we get through this economy is going to be on fire like no tomorrow.
Follow up?
And Premier, in that vein, do you have any update on the U.S. border? I mean, I know you and Justin Trudeau have been simpatico on this, on keeping the border shut. Do you have any news to share on that? Is it still on schedule to remain closed for the foreseeable future?
Robert, I haven't had a conversation in the last couple of weeks about the border with the federal government, either the Deputy Prime Minister or the Prime Minister. What I want to do, I want to start getting people tested as they're coming off. Rather than isolating for 14 days, let's get them tested immediately when they come off the plane, and test them again 5 or 6 days later, and that will reduce the isolation. But I need the federal government's help on this. And if they don't want to do it, then we'll go it alone. Even though it's not our jurisdiction, the airports, it's the federal government, but we will put people in the two largest airports in Toronto and Ottawa, and I know there's many other border crossings that the vehicles go across, but if it's better than not having anyone at the airports. So I really would like their support, and I want to action this as soon as possible.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone.